I think the CPI was deliberately redesigned in the early 1990s to understate inflation, and that's what it does. And so I think it's more accurate to double whatever the official rate is, and that's probably a close estimate of the actual rate. So if we're down to 3.1, that's probably 6.2. But, you know, the only reason that we went down from the official rate of just over 9 to just over 3 is because oil prices collapsed because Biden raided the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And also you got a big rise in the dollar on foreign exchange markets because speculators were bidding up the dollar based on the Fed rate hikes. Well, the dollar rally is over and there's not that much oil left in the reserve anymore. So I think that's why oil prices are up about 30% from the lows a few months ago, up about 15% in the last month. And now you're going to really start to see those headline CPI numbers moving back up in the other direction. But rent's going up too. And in fact, with mortgage rates now in the 7s, probably headed for 8% before the end of the year, people can't afford to buy homes, especially when the prices are still near the record highs. So if you can't afford to buy, you're stuck renting. And the landlords know this, so they have the ability to raise rents because their tenants don't have the alternative of, you know, a 3.5% mortgage anymore. And remember too, a lot of the landlords, they have mortgages on their properties, but they don't have a 30-year fixed. They probably have like a 5-year adjustable. So a lot of your landlords, they're seeing big increases in their debt service. They need to raise rents to cover those costs. Well, I don't even know what Bidenomics is. What has Biden done other than, you know, increase government spending and add extra regulations into the economy? I mean, there's nothing economic about that. It's just a complete disaster. I mean, just look at the results, and it's only going to get worse as time goes by and the inflation rate accelerates and the economy tanks. So I don't even know what they're talking about. Unfortunately, education at this point is a racket. The vast majority of people would be better off skipping college and just getting a job. If you want to learn, you got the internet, you got AI, you can teach yourself with the help of all this technology. You don't need these overpaid teachers unions and universities and all the money they're spending. The reason that the educational system got so bloated was because of government involvement. On the federal level, it was subsidized, guaranteed government loans, then direct government loans. K through 12, it's the teachers unions. But yeah, I mean, most Americans would be better off just learning on their own and not having to waste all that time and borrow all that money. Yeah, remember, whenever you hear Biden talk about reduced inflation, you have to remember that basically inflation represents the difference between what the government collects in taxes and what they spend. Because we don't get all that government for nothing. When Joe Biden says we're going to have all these new government programs, but nobody who makes under $400,000 a year is going to pay for it, he's lying, because everybody who makes under $4,000 a year, $100,000 a year, is paying the inflation tax. Because when the government spends money, it doesn't have, the Fed prints it. And when that money gets printed, everybody's money is worth less. Everybody's savings, everybody's paycheck, and prices going up simply represent the value of your money going down. And that increase is a tax. It is the inflation tax. And as long as government spending is not being cut, the inflation tax is going to keep going up. Oh, we should be. First of all, they supply us with a lot of goods, but they also have loaned us a lot of money. And the interest that we have to pay on that debt is soaring. You know, Treasury bond yields today hit the highest level in 16 years. We've got a $32.7 trillion national debt that is becoming much more expensive to finance. And, you know, this backup in the yield on the 30-year Treasury, mortgage rates are going to hit 8% pretty soon. So think about that for a minute, because when was the last time anybody was looking at an 8% mortgage? Just a year ago, they were in the 3s. So everybody is going to be paying more. Yeah, well, the Treasury yields are the highest since 2007, so before the financial crisis. And so mortgage rates are going to be higher than they were before the real estate bubble popped, but they're headed a lot higher. We are broke as a nation, and the inflation genie is out of the bottle. You know, more than 10 years of reckless money printing. There's no way these rate hikes are going to do anything about that. So high inflation is here to stay, and it's going to get even higher. And so how Joe Biden can talk about a strong economy when we're the world's biggest debtor nation, we have record trade deficits, record budget deficits, and inflation that's about to run out of control, I don't think the economy has ever been this weak. No, you're right. The blowback from those sanctions is going to be a disaster. Yes, I don't think that Trump would have been dumb enough to have made that mistake. You know, the United States really depends on the dollar as the reserve currency. But what we did with those sanctions, we gave the world a powerful reason not to want to be a part of that system anymore, because we demonstrated the downside, the risk that you take in holding dollars and being part of this dollar payment system. So we, it gave everybody another reason, as if they needed more, to de-dollarize. And so that whole process has been sped up. The last thing we should have done was punish Russia for doing exactly what we wanted them to do. We wanted Russia to hold dollars because that benefits us. That keeps our prices down, that keeps our interest rates down, and then we punished Russia for doing exactly what we wanted them to do. Now, what kind of message are we sending to the rest of the world? And they're bragging about the war. I mean, there never should have been a war. You brag about avoiding wars, not about starting them. And I agree. I don't think we didn't have any wars when Trump was president. That was one of the things he got right. He kept us out of war. And as soon as Biden comes in, next thing you know, not only do we have a war, but we have the potential for a world war. I mean, who the hell wants to risk that? Over what? Over Ukrainian independence? This is nonsense.
I know.
This war should have ended before it started. He wants endless war. He doesn't want peace. He doesn't care how many people die. There's a lot of innocent, Russians and Ukrainians. I mean, that are dying. That for what?